And most people are living, if they're doing things that feel hurtful to you, if they're, being angry with you, if they're being quick with you, if they're being short with you, it's just their story. They've got a narrative that they're playing out, and this is actually a perfect opportunity from the universe, from life, to see that hitting your triggers, and that's hurting you. Because actually, if something's hurting you, it's something that is inside you that needs to be fixed.
You go to London and you buy the book at the bookstore, right? And then you spend a nice month reading it, and you go, wonder what book I should read next. And then it could take a few months before another book comes into your presence, or a neighbor says, I've got this book. Do you want it?
Yeah.
Our brains are just firing up so quickly that we're just thinking about the next thing. That's
Yeah.
giving us the feeling of dopamine, rather than the feeling of sitting and being with the thing that makes us feel nice, such as just looking at that bluebell.
Man, the more like we're just in bliss states, actually, and the more we just flow, wow. It's all about letting things come in, letting them go out. What happens is things come in and they get stuck in us. This idea of letting go, this is one of the easiest routes to enlightenment, is what they say. It's just letting go of things.
The other day, I was driving down the road and this car just came down. And technically, I should have let it go first, right? But there was enough room, so I thought I'd just squeeze by. They stopped, wound down the window, and they were just yelling abuse. But because I hadn't done anything wrong, there was no malicious intent. I was in a nice, relaxed state of mind, singing, just meditated. I just looked at them as if I'm just glaring at a tree. There was no reaction, no response, nothing. I became aware after the fact, and it's like it never happened. My heartbeat didn't increase. I didn't think about it. I just looked at a tree and moved on. I recently have got a friend of mine who is working for me, and I've worked for myself my whole life, and I've created a whole business and a whole system from scratch in my brain. And I'm the only person who's ever run the business. So trying to explain this system and set up to someone else, I have realized is very complicated, because you're basically creating a language and then saying, here's how you speak. And it obviously takes time and trial and error for that person to learn that language. And what I caught myself doing yesterday whilst teaching that person was I was getting frustrated. I was sitting there for 4 hours just being on standby should they need me, and that person is next to me running the business, and I'm sat on my chair for 4 hours and I'm going to myself, fuck, like this isn't going to work. And I was getting in a state, I was getting tense and I was getting anxious, and all because they weren't doing it in the same speed in which I'm used to doing. I'm like, I could have done this in 15 minutes, and yet it's taken ages. And that's when I realized that you can't expect somebody to see and think the same way as you do. And then when you let someone else do something, you've got to let them take control and do it in their own way. You can't micromanage. You can't nag and say, do it like this. You have to trust that they will get the end result done for you. Let them take control and give them the tools that they need, rather than getting in a state and thinking, oh, on to the next, because that pattern will repeat. It's you, it's me who's getting impatient, wanting things done now, not the other person. So it's a lesson for me to just be patient and don't expect other people to have the same morals, work ethic, drive as I do. That's it.
Beautiful. That's it. Yeah? You want me to respond to
Yep, say whatever
that?
you want to say.
Yeah, man. A lot comes up in that space, everyone. How do we deal with people when everyone's coming in at different places? Everyone's coming from different thought patterns. Everyone is in, different synchronization. So I think, yeah, man, it comes down to a lot of what I've been doing and practicing recently has been coming back to being. coming back to the state of beingness, actually, instead of doing, and I think that is, I think we actually have about 5% of control of what we can control in our life, and maybe 5% will come true, and then 95% is up to everything else, and there's so many other kind of variables going. So I think patience is super important. I think coming at love with people is really important. I think being honest. I think when someone is maybe not doing something that you wish them to do, or well, how can we wish anyone to do anything actually for us, right? But yeah, I think being honest with communication is really important, and you can just meet people in love and see what wants to be made, man. Yeah.
So I was listening to Jay Shetty and him on Stephen Bartlett's podcast, and he was saying how when he was younger, he became like the mediator, middleman between his parents. So he was saying that he never saw different sides. He never saw that person's right, person's wrong. He just saw love and empathy for two human beings doing the best that they can in any given situation, understanding that they are right to them based on what they've always known, based on what their parents taught them and their environment in their world. And then he flips it. His dad's been brought up with different environment, different friendships, different part of the world. So they are right to themselves. It doesn't mean that they are right to other people. So not taking sides because you're thinking that that person's right and that person's wrong is a great tool that he learned, to simply staying on the fence and understanding where each person's coming from rather than finding the narrative that aligns with you. So if I think something is something and I hear you say it, then I'm probably going to latch onto that and go, yes, I agree. But if I look at it from a bias point of view, which is I can understand that, but I also understand this, and I understand why I think like this, but that's because I was taught this, and I'm aware that I can see another point of view, and it's never one or two, it is both. If somebody's at fault, it's you're at fault, and there is a part where I'm at fault too. Let's see where we have become lost in translation. It's never you're wrong, I'm right, or vice versa. It's we've both had a part to play in this, and that is okay. It's a mixture of everything at one time.
There's no right, there's no wrong. It's just all perspective, right? And most people are living, if they're doing things that feel hurtful to you, if they're, being angry with you, if they're being quick with you, if they're being short with you, it's just their story. They've got a narrative that they're playing out, and this is actually a perfect opportunity from the universe, from life, to see that hitting your triggers, and that's hurting you, because actually, if something's hurting you, it's something that is inside you that needs to be fixed. If there's a kid on the street that walks over to you and just says, oh, swears at you or something, and then runs off, you're going to be pretty unaffected, right? Because that person, you don't know that person. But then if that close friend or family member does the same thing to you, you're going to be really affected. So the action is the same, but it's hitting a trauma inside of you, or a trigger inside of you. That's different. Yeah, man, there's no good or bad. It's all perspective, actually. And then we need to really zoom out. And this is so important, especially in our lives, is to zoom out and see something in a bigger picture. Because when things hit us and we get anxious and we get angry, what's happening is we're tensing up and we're bubbling up, and we're just, our view just comes like this. It just goes like this. So we don't see the full picture. But we all know this, don't we? This is just common knowledge.
It's really interesting because, they say that when you're having a shitty day, if someone on the road gives you the finger or cuts you up, then you're going to respond and react in a negative way. The other day, I was driving down the road and this car just came down, and technically I should have let it go first, right? But there was enough room, so I thought I'd just squeeze by. As they drove past me, they stopped, wound down the window, and they were just yelling abuse. But because I hadn't done anything wrong, there was no malicious intent, I was in a nice, relaxed state of mind, singing, just meditated. I just looked at them as if I'm just glaring at a tree. There was no reaction, no response, nothing. I became aware after the fact that they've just stopped, yelled at me, And I've just become aware that that happened as I've driven off. And it's like it never happened. My heartbeat didn't increase. I didn't think about it. I just looked at a tree and moved on. And that's because I was already in a controlled state within. So bringing it
Yeah.
back to the thing about the triggers are always within. If I was angry that day, then that might have triggered me and I might have gone, shut the fuck up, you twat, piss off. Instead, I just looked at them and it was just like no emotion, nothing.
It's what I'm viewing from that. I got a visual of that. I got a full-on story, a view from that. And what I saw was, yeah, a car coming over, them opening up a window, them like throwing this dark energy at you, this almost black smoke at you, and you just being there and not allowing it to absorb you, almost just witnessing it. It just comes and then it just bounces off. And you're like, you didn't get involved in that situation. You didn't, it was trying to pull you in. That was like the universe. That's like a test. That was like life trying to push you in, pull you in, like let you know. And then you were just witnessing it, man, and just not getting involved in it. There's actually so much we don't need to get involved. Like the less we get involved with all this happening, and we just witness and we just view it and we just be in our own energy, man, the more like we're just in bliss states actually, and the more we just flow. Wow, it's all about letting things come in, letting them go out. What happens is things come in and they get stuck in us, you know. But I don't know if you know much, like I listen to a lot of Michael Singer, and his whole practice is letting go. This idea of letting go, this is the one of the easiest routes to enlightenment, is what they say. It's just letting go of things, dropping the bags. But yeah, this idea that things, because everything is energy, as Einstein once said, everything is energy, it's all energy. So what happens is things come to us, they get stuck in us, and we tense up, and then we repress them, and then they go down, and then they come out in boiling points, like weeks or months, or in a midlife crisis much later, and it's crazy. So, dude, for me, and as we all know, like the practice is letting things go, just being open, even if something comes in, whatever it is, maybe it's sadness, feel the sadness, be with the sadness, be fully with it, or just allow it to have space, even if it's anger, because obviously we're going to get angry as well. Allow it, man, and just try not to do too much harm to anyone else. Only, there's a thumb going down
Yeah, I
on
know.
the screen.
So yeah, what's coming to me
Anyway,
is that
yeah,
I've done a lot of work and I'm in constant meditation to protect my energy. So it's almost like I've kicked the demons out and now I'm going to put locks on the door, right? And so whether it's
nice.
something positive, like I'm going on holiday or I'm going out for a meal tonight or I've got an iPhone coming, that to me is exactly the same state and feeling of that person's just cut me up, the postman's late, or that person's fucked up on my food order. I don't respond. Now, I used
Mm,
to get called lack of empathy, right? Because I just don't respond to negative or positive. And actually,
mm,
I know that if I get too excited about something, I'll get obsessed with that high, almost like a drug, right? That's not real. That is real for that moment, for as long as that moment is. So, iPhone comes, great. Get a new camper van, great. Get a new thing, great. I've had a Chinese, great. I
and
find
when
that if
it
I,
eventually leaves you, great,
yeah,
right?
exactly. So,
Yeah,
so it's this beauty of being in this state of high within all the time with nothing, so that anything else around you, good or bad, simply doesn't match that state of how you feel. So they could cut me up and I don't feel anything. I get a new thing. Great. I'm not going to let that thing take over me, and I'm not going to need that thing to give me this feeling of wholeness, because when it goes away, I'm back to how I was. So
yeah,
that bounce thing, having a bubble around you for good or bad, it's not, oh, focus on the good and don't focus on the bad. It's actually, in my opinion, don't focus too much on anything, because then you avoid coming home, which is the main thing. Always be home, and then nothing matters.
yeah, yeah. That's it, man. That's it. If everything's changing, it's constant transitioning. There's a season for love, there's a season for falling out of love, These are not my words actually, but yeah, everything has changed. So then to not hold on to things is great, man, not to become obsessed about things. That's in us, that's built into us as human beings. And yeah, we really, this is why the spiritual practice is so important, because if we don't have a spiritual practice, we get obsessed and addicted to
Hmm.
other things, people or
Hmm.
sports. I mean, these are fine things actually, and there's great things to do with that. But having this higher kind of frequency where you can, get into is amazing. And what did I want to say on that? I'm just losing my track. You said a lot of great things there. Um, yeah, not being affected by anything. Yeah, man, because everything is changing. In Buddhism, they say that everything is empty, everything is emptiness and nothingness, and this is the same thing. In
Hmm.
all, they actually say the same. Most things say the same. Um, but yeah, man, it's all changing all the time. Apart from the witness, the thing that witnesses it. So yeah, the only constant is change, as the Tao says.
And I find that when I want something, it's not because I need it, it's because, or not that I want it, I need it, and there's a purpose for it, right? It's not just having it for the sake of it. There is a purpose. Where some people, they may really want something, such as a laptop. Now, for me, a laptop is I need it to work on. For someone else, it's, oh, I just got this amazing laptop, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I call it being at home when you're on holiday, right? So, or when you're in the middle of the woods by yourself in the dark with no one and but trees. I literally could be in Tomorrowland or Ibiza or in a meditation retreat. I feel the same regardless. And then I think if you strip everything away, strip away the trees, strip away the restaurant, strip away Ibiza, what you're left with, the same thing that you were left with in the woods, just air and oxygen. So really it's a concept of how you see home, right? It's not a house or buildings, and it's not possessions and photographs on the wall of family.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
nice, of course, because home is within. And I don't actually have many photos, and I don't have many materialistic objects, because when I was young I got obsessed with items and I attached meaning to these things, and each thing now had a home for me, and now I can't detach from that. And it's like, if I do, I'm losing part of me. And I realize this doesn't end, because as we accumulate more stuff, a train
Yeah, yeah,
ticket
yeah.
in London with Ollie for his birthday, oh, that means so much. A top that my grand bought me 10 years ago, oh, that means so much. You can't live like that. You're going to be collecting so much shit, and then you'll forget where home is, because
Yes,
it's
yeah, yeah,
everywhere.
yeah.
You've divided yourself up everywhere. It's not
Yeah,
good.
yeah. It's phenomenal, man, the amount of crap that we accumulate and that we store, man. And there's a saying that they say, when you travel, the weight of your backpack is the weight of your fears. And so what that means is like what you bring on and can't let go to is the weight of your fears. And yeah, man, for like this year, I lived out of a backpack that was like maybe this big. All I had was I had a laptop because I was working, and just some clothes. Not many clothes. That was it. Whenever I bought something new, because I was traveling, I was in Asia. Whenever I bought something new, I got rid of something else, and it was phenomenal to live out of
Mm.
something like this, bro. And
Mm.
when I got back to my place here in England and I saw my wardrobe, I was like, this is disgusting, man. I was like disgusted actually by it. They certainly, if you want to clear out your mind, man, minimalize your things, get rid of things, as you say, let go, don't have too much things, don't hold on to things. Wow, man, yeah, it really does. It does wonders for us, for our mental health, our well-being, actually. Yeah, living minimally, super important.
So I just got a camper van, and I just bought a load of stickers for it. Just literally stickers that say, if you can't see me, I can't see you. Or if you're seeing this, you're too far, get out my ass. Or van life, camper life. And I'm like, we can only get all these things now because of Amazon. Yeah. Amazon has basically gone to every supplier in the world, brought it here, and you can get it tomorrow. 15 years ago, if you wanted something like a phone case, you'd have to drive to the town centre, park your car, okay? Then you got to go into the town centre just to get a phone case, and you might have lunch. That takes a whole day to get one item. These
Yeah,
days, we are getting items after items after items in seconds. Like, I've got a thing for my steering wheel, I've got a seat cover, I've got a chair, I've got a stand, I've got lights, I've got another fairy light. All of this stuff it would have taken weeks to get back in the day. And we're getting this now. I buy it now, it arrives tomorrow. So, 15 years ago, if you wanted something like a phone case, you'd have to drive to the town centre, park your car, then you got to go into the town centre just to get a phone case, and you might have lunch. That takes a whole day to get one item. These days, we are getting items after items after items in seconds. Like, I've got a thing for my steering wheel, I've got a thing for my chair, I've got a stand, I've got lights, I've got another fairy light. All of this stuff might it would have taken weeks to get back in the day. And we're getting this now. So because we can get these things, we're now thinking about more things to get. Unnecessary nonsense, such as a cup with, a heat thermometer in it. Yeah, great. I can see the temperature of my cup, but I didn't need that. Back in the day, we didn't need that. You just simply, if it goes cold, boil the kettle, put it in. And I was thinking about this. How simple can I create my life? Now, it's very, very, very simple as it is. But it's more, I can choose to get certain things because I can, but do I need things? And it's like this constant battle of, yeah, I could get another bird feeder, right? One that's got a stand for the birds to sit on. And I can also get one for the squirrels where they've got a table to sit on. Fantastic. But don't really need it. And it's this battle of modern life, clutter, stuff. Yep, I can make the use of this, but do I that? I put my phone in every night and I lock it for 7 hours so I can't get access to my phone. I'm like,
you have one of them.
Yeah, I've got two because I started to use the other phone instead. So the point is that minimalism, if you can get to that point, it is so freeing where there's nothing you need, and what you need, you already have on your back.
What feels amazing, man, is when you're walking around the shops or something and you see shiny things and you just look at them and you appreciate them for the 2 seconds or 3 seconds, and you appreciate, and then you'll be like, I don't need that. And then there's a real warmth that comes into you, like, I don't need any of this actually. And you just walk away. So you just actually appreciate the thing fully in the moment, but you don't need to take it. And like, that's like, it's this idea of like, there's a flower in the woods, or these beautiful flowers in the woods. And what we want to do is we want to pick it. We want to pick them, and we want to take them and put them in our house and collect them and collect all the flowers. But actually, just to be with the flowers and the nature and just look at them and be with them fully in that moment, then I think actually if you're with them fully in that moment, then you're with them eternally anyway, actually. So then you just walk on by, and this idea of like, I don't need to collect anything. Actually, it's more of a letting go. In fact, I need to let go of things more than I collect. And if we can do that every day, then we're accomplishing so much. If we're letting go more of then what we take in, that's like the goal. If we sit in our bed and say like, oh, we let go of more than what we took in today, and I'm talking about this with emotions as well, and then that is phenomenal way to live actually. Man, I'm fully down with a minimalistic life, fully down with that, simplifying. There's too much crap we do that's just bullshit, man.
It's like you look at the bluebell and it gives us a feeling, it creates an emotional reaction. So instantly we think physical item, that gave me a feeling. If I want that feeling to continue, I need to take the physical item, right? And it's almost like, when a dog will roll on a dead mouse or a dead bird or a dead frog, right? It's a dead bird and my dog will roll on it. Why? Well, I worked it out. Same thing.
He likes
that turns him on in some way. Animalistic. There's a dead animal. It must charge the body or something. So he walks past it, makes him a little horny. He thinks, I'm going to take that horniness with me. So he rolls on it, the dirty fuck. So now he's walking around with this like fucking sexual energy of a mouse on its back, right? So what you're saying is that you can feel the feeling the bluebell was giving you. It's a feeling, and that's within, and you don't need to take that physical thing to maintain that feeling.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't need to take it away, or destroy it, or then like cut it off. I mean, that's like a pretty big metaphor, but we don't need to collect these things actually. Yeah. And we're addicted to the instant gratification. We're not even addicted to the things anymore. Like, we're actually addicted to the instant gratification. And that has obviously come from like Amazon and everything being so instantaneous. And so we can't even be with the things that we get anyway, man, because because we're addicted to the next thing, constantly looking for the next thing. So we buy that book and it sits on our bookshelf for a year before we open it. Even if we do it, we might not even open it and actually probably have to like get rid of it before we've even read it,
And then another book comes along that we see and we go, oh, I'll get that one, and then we end up reading that one and forget about the book we just had. Whereas back in the day, you'd see like one advert in the paper or the local post office and you'd be like, oh, I'd like to get that book. And then 3 weeks later, you go to London and you buy the book at the bookstore, right? And then you spend a nice month reading it and you go, oh, wonder what book I should read next. And then it could take a few months before another book comes into your presence, or a neighbor says, oh, I've got this book. Do you want it?
Yeah.
Our brains are just firing up so quickly that we're just thinking about the next thing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
giving us the feeling of dopamine, rather than the feeling of sitting and being with the thing that makes us feel nice, such as just looking at that bluebell.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, man. For me, it's just keep coming back to being, actually. Just keep coming back to being, not to doing, and working from there. And then it's like, instead of having to do all these things, how about we just connect back to ourselves, just get into beingness, and then allow whatever wants to come will come, and it will come fully. And so then when we're cooking the meal, we're cooking the meal, you know? And when we're playing the gig, we're playing the gig. But when we're cooking the meal, we don't want to be playing the gig in our minds, because otherwise we're not really cooking the meal. And like I was thinking, yeah, man, I was thinking, who coined the name human being? Because they got it so right, actually.
Mm.
And if we just keep coming back to beingness, which is to stop with the doingness all the time and just be, I keep thinking, like, also we are the same. We're nature, man. We are nature, and nature is us. And when I walk in the forest, the trees they're not stressed out or panicking. Why should I be? And if we're so advanced, mentally, then why are we so stressed out? The trees aren't that stressed out, but we're way more advanced than them. So it all comes down to the mind. So it's the mind, the monkey mind, that creates us suffering. So the more we quiet that down, the more we just come to beingness and to witness, then we can just be the same as it all, man. And yeah, not trying to, yeah, but it's all perfect, man. It's all like beautifully divine and perfect at the same time.
I was
Yeah,
walking
yeah.
in the woods, right? And it's the part of the woods that not many humans really walk in, because they're
Oh
like
yeah.
private land. And there's all these massive, massive trees, and they're
It's
so tall,
yeah,
and
yeah.
there's no branches for the first, like, I don't know, imagine two-story house, right? There's no branches for the first two-story house. And the person else have said to me, has the council cut them down so people don't climb the trees? And I'm like, probably not, because the council, like, they've got more time, they've got better things to do than to cut some trees in case somebody climbs a tree. And then I looked up and I saw how tall they all were. And I was like, the tree stopped creating little leaves at the bottom because it's grown so tall to get bigger enough to go bigger than the other trees around it to get light. So it served its purpose of being so tall, more over the other trees, that I'm photosynthesizing from the leaves up there. I don't need the leaves down here.
Mm,
So what you're saying is that nature is perfect. Nature already knows what it needs to do. And we just have to mimic nature. Human being, to me, is no different to a cow in a field, just chewing grass all day. That's all he has to do, right? It just that's it. Cow
yeah, yeah.
doing, human being. The tree is just being. If it needs to
Exactly.
adapt, like if it needs to grow some leaves because it's missing some sunlight, then it will grow a few leaves at the bottom. Apart from that, doesn't need to. Got plenty of leaves at the top, and it's getting enough sunlight. Nature knows what to do, and humans just have to mimic nature, even though it's incredibly hard.
Well, it's incredibly hard because yeah, it's all stripped down now. It's like it's in the cities at least. It's all gone. And people are not living naturally, and they're not living. In 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 the ways that we're sort of built for, actually. And there's a lot of crazy energies coming in the cities, at least. I feel it so much now. I'm getting really sensitive to this, which is amazing, because
Mm.
that's what I want, because I want to feel more. But yeah, man, this idea that, like, yeah, man, this waking up, being really here. Like right now, I'm here having this
Mm.
conversation with you, and
Mm.
that is happening.
Mm.
And I feel that, actually. I'm feeling that. And that is it. That is the practice. But most people, loads of people, we're not there. They're not there. And hardly I am there. I speak this as, as for myself and for both of us. So that's all that we need to do. We just need to be here now, as Ramdas said. Just be here with it, with the moment. Because, yeah, man. And in this, what I've been doing in the last couple of weeks, I've really been doing that, because someone said to me recently, like, I was doing some work for them, it's weird. I get two things. Some people say to me, "Oh, Ollie, you're really floaty and you're really high," and or they say to me, "Oh, Ollie, you're so here and you're so present and you're so alive." And anyway, someone said to me the first one recently, and it triggered me actually. I was like, "What the hell?" Because because there was a storyline that someone said to me that before, like a couple of years ago, and it hurt me. So anyway, I've been even more focusing on being present and being conscious and being here now. And when I've been doing that, dude, time has been absolutely going out of the window because I've been so here in the moment, in the present moment where time doesn't exist actually. And so I just lived like I did a week. Yeah, I actually did like 3 weeks in Spain recently, but in 1 week in Spain, it felt like a year because constantly I was so there, man, so there. And then I realized time only exists in the past and future actually is where and in the very moment now it's eternal and it's infinite because everything is. So there's so much to be gained, from just being here. And then and you don't suffer in that moment, as Eckhart Tolle will tell you in The Power of Now. You just don't suffer. You can't really suffer in the present moment, So yeah, that's it, man.
Right, let's wrap that up. Anything you want to promote or plug before we finish?
Promote and plug. No, I'll give you my Instagrams. Yeah. But not massively. But yeah, check
and
me
if
out.
I was going to say, if you had one day left to live, what is the one thing that you would tell the rest of the world?
Love everyone and follow your dreams.
Thanks for listening. If you like this episode, please remember to subscribe, turn the bell notifications on, like the episode, and comment below. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's YesKingOliver. Take a look at the other videos to your side. And if you just want to listen to this podcast, you can do so on Apple and Spotify and most other platforms by going to talkwitholiver.com.